Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Hi guys, and welcome to another Fool of the Week. This week's Fool is Douglas Ross, the head of the Scottish Tories and a man who makes up half the employment numbers in Scotland. Now, the Tories think they scored a victory this week because the UK Supreme Court ruled that the Scottish Parliament doesn't have the right to call an independence referendum. This is a job reserved for Westminster. Now, the last few Tory governments have said no, and the Labour Party are against it too. So how the heck do the Scottish people obtain self-determination if they can't have it via a referendum? This simple question was put to Douglas Ross, and well, it went as you can probably imagine.
There is a question now, is the UK a voluntary union?
Yes, it is, and we expressed that by having a vote here in Scotland just 8 years ago.
Like, what is the route for Scotland to get independence then, if it wants it?
Well, Colin, you wouldn't expect me, as the leader of a party which
Actually,
is...
I would, as a Democrat, I would expect you to be able to answer that question.
I'd hope, Colin, you would understand that as someone who believes passionately for Scotland's place in the United Kingdom, I'm not going to set out a route map for Scotland to be separated from the United Kingdom.
But Westminster is currently blocking any option for Scotland to have another independence referendum. So I ask you again, what is the route democratically for Scotland to have another independence referendum if it wants it?
But I'm saying, Colin, we had that choice back in 2014, just 8 years...
And is that a one-off? Is that it?
Look, that was just 8 years ago, and we were told then by both sides that they would respect the result of that referendum.
If this is a voluntary union, is there a way out for Scotland if it wants it? And you're not answering that.
Well, of course, and I said absolutely, this is a voluntary union, which is why we were given...
how Scotland can get out of it if it chooses to get out of it.
That's why we were given the opportunity just 8 years ago to make that decision, and the people of Scotland decided, having listened to...
So what you're saying is that was a one-off, that there's no other opportunity, that's never likely to arise again.
What I'm saying is, Colin, I will never, as someone who passionately believes in Scotland's place in the United Kingdom, give a route map for separation.
I'm not Scottish, and I'm already banging my head against the wall going, what is wrong with this guy? It's basically like saying, there's the door, you go to open it and there's a wall. And you're like, okay, how do I get out? Well, I'm not going to tell you how to get out because I want you to stay here, but I don't want to stay here. Tough, I want you to stay here. That's basically what's happening. Now, as we know, the route out via referendum is gone because it relies on the Westminster government to give the Scottish Parliament a Section 30 so they can hold a referendum. They need permission from Westminster to hold a referendum. The Supreme Court said the Scottish government can't do it on their own. They need Westminster's permission. Westminster, the Tories, who are in charge at the moment, have said no. And it's not just Rishi Sunak. Liz Truss and Boris Johnson and Theresa May have all said no. So what's the alternative? Well, the Tories don't want to explain the alternative. Now, it is extremely disingenuous because he's saying it is a voluntary union. Then how is it a voluntary union if you can't leave? Or how is it a voluntary union if you're not told how to leave? Which is basically like saying you can't leave. You know, the Tories have put themselves... They think that they claimed a victory this week with the Supreme Court ruling. But I think this is actually going to drive more people to the side of the independence and the independence movement. And remember, this is not just about the SNP. The Green Party, there's the Alba Party. There are a number of small movements and big movements in Scotland who want independence. Now, the Tories will focus on the SNP, not in this interview, but he's saying about, well, people had a vote back in 2014. You know, it was just 8 years ago. Well, what happened in those 8 years? Brexit happened. The Scots voted against Brexit, but it was forced upon them. Now, if I said in another video, if Brexit had not happened, well, we couldn't use this argument. And it probably would be something that the unionists could say, look, nothing has really changed. But a huge amount has changed. Brexit being the principal one. So if something changes, then you need to have another vote. But by saying you're not allowed to have a vote is, as I said, I think it's driving more people to the independent side. So I could apply the Fool of the Week to the entire Conservative Party, but this week it's Douglas Ross. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think, and I'll see you next time for our next Fool of the Week.